What's up, meta nerds? This video is all about the Gundark. Gundarks are considered non-sentient, as they don't show any intelligent behavior, which would separate them from regular animals. They are much shorter than a Rancor, with an average height of 1 to 2.5 meters, or just over 8 feet. But that stat seems a little funny, because that's just barely taller than Chewbacca, and that would mean that 3 Ewoks are taller than a Gundark. They were originally from the planet Vancor, but early on in galactic history, many were transported to Dromund Kaas, the planet that would become capital of the Sith Empire. Gundarks are considered to be mammals, as they gave live birth to their young. A newborn Gundark had a thick coat of black fur, and to survive in its harsh environment, they were able to fight nearly as soon as they left the womb. Though these baby Gundarks only had 2 arms, with that second set coming in sometime during adolescence. As the Gundark grew older, its hair would lighten, and its ears would grow larger and larger, until, when a Gundark went through puberty, its large, bat-like ears would extend to be twice as big as the head. This is where you get the expression, strong enough to pull the ears off a Gundark. Another phrase that came from these creatures was an insult, where you would say somebody has Gundark brains. This is because even the terrifying Rancors did have some form of language, but the most intelligent Gundarks only figured out how to use simple tools, like throwing rocks or using clubs. A bunch of different Gundark families would come together to live as a tribe, and these tribes would normally live together inside of enormous hollowed out trees or inside of caves. The males would usually take care of the tribe's home and help protect the young from any predators. Gundarks are known to be extremely territorial and would attack any creature found near their land. The females were the hunter-gatherers, and they were the ones that trained and showed the younger Gundarks how to hunt. After a Gundark reached 5 years old, they would usually leave the tribe and challenge other Gundark clans for the opportunity to mate. This made sure that every generation of Gundarks had extremely diverse genetics. By the time of the Cold War, a period of peace between the Galactic Republic and the Sith Empire, around the year 3653 BBY, the Gundark population had exploded across Dromund Kaas, and this imported species worked its way to the top of the food chain. Their fighting prowess did not go unnoticed, and these creatures were hunted for sport, seen as the ultimate prey in the eyes of many big game hunters. As the reputation of the Gundark spread throughout the galaxy, the Galactic Republic made it illegal to hunt down and capture Gundarks, knowing that there was an enormous black market trade on them. Gundark leather was prized by many criminals, but many Gundarks were captured and forced to fight in gladiatorial arenas. Enormous crowds would come and watch this wild beast, and place bets on how well it would perform in the ring. It's said that some prize Gundarks became such skilled fighters that they were able to take out Rancors and even Trompas. Sometimes, just to try and make it more even, they would blindfold the Rancor, knowing that these things were still deadly, being able to rely on those giant ears to figure out where their opponent was. Gundark fighting was such a big hit that it created whole industries of specialized tamers who would have to use powerful sedatives and force pikes just to be able to transport these highly agile and deadly beasts. Most of a Gundark's kills came from using its enormous hands to wrestle its opponent to the ground, and then from this position, it would eviscerate its victim with those 2 enormous claws on its legs. And as the demand for Gundarks increased, so too did accidents involving these creatures, and many of them were able to kill their captors and escape onto all kinds of different worlds, in which they usually dominated the local species, and just like on Dromund Kaas, again worked their way up to the top of the food chain. They normally thrived in temperate climates, and they were known to populate Naboo and Alaris Prime, but there were also Arctic and desert versions of Gundarks. Over the years, a couple of Gundark subspecies developed. One from the planet Burskin developed a green skin color, and instead of having those 2 smaller limbs on the belly, it had 4 equally sized giant arms. This variant had 2 feet without any spike at the end, instead having 2 toes, but its tail was much more menacing because it ended in a pair of pincers which worked like a claw. On the moon Lamis, you could find a poisonous variant of a Gundark referred to as the Brachian Beast Lord. And some species were actually falsely labeled as Gundarks, like the long-necked Gundark from the planet Karzet 3, and the aquatic Gundark of Yavin 4. Again, these 2 were not actually Gundarks, and were falsely labeled just because they had a similar, insanely violent temperament. Well, that's it for the Gundark, but you definitely want to hear these cool facts and behind-the-scenes stuff. In between episodes 1 and 2, Anakin actually saved Obi-Wan when he fell into a Gundark's nest.
I haven't felt you this tense since we fell into that nest of Gundarks.
In-universe, there was a game that was played by a lot of Padawans, and it was called Gundark Trainer, as you see, extremely violent and full of plenty of blood. The sounds for the Gundarks used in the Clone Wars TV show were achieved by mixing together recordings of a horse and a parrot. And comically, when Han Solo said the famous line, "You look strong enough to pull the ears off a Gundark," it was just an empty, alien-sounding name, and there wasn't even concept art yet for the creature that would be called a Gundark. Well, that's it for the Gundark. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, and be sure to leave a comment down below if I missed any cool facts, or if you have a suggestion for future videos. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at MetaNerdsLore, so you can see us build Star Wars props and cosplays, along with some other cool Star Wars stuff. If you want to help support this channel, check out the description below for our Amazon store and our Patreon. And be sure to subscribe, because we're making videos like this every single day. Don't ever actually try to rip the ears off of Gundark, and the Force will be with you, always.